welcome. We're going to intro the speakers. We're going to have them speak a little bit about what is vibe coding. And then we're going to have 2 different break rooms. You'll be able to, we'll tell you more about those, but you'll be able to pick which break room that you want to be in. And it could be that you're a complete beginner and you'll go in one, whereas maybe you've had a little experience and you want to go in the other. So, and you can go back and forth from time to time. So with that, I'm going to say that I'm very proud and happy to bring today Ian McHenry, who's a longtime entrepreneur, and Craig Vachon, who is also a longtime entrepreneur and author of one of the funniest books I've ever read, Knucklehead of Silicon Valley, and just an all-around great guys, both of them. So we've got that. We've got, what else am I missing here? Melina?
I think you're all set. Just if Craig and Ian want to introduce yourselves, you can go ahead and do that now.
Sure. I'll go. Oh,
After you, Ian.
I'll read left to right. It's so I'm going. Hey everyone, I'm Ian McHenry. I had previously founded a couple startups, one that did okay, that did dynamic pricing software for vacation rentals. We raised like $40 million of venture capital and eventually exited in a growth round now 5+ years ago, and had a CTO. I knew how to code my own, and so I've been on kind of both sides. But more recently, I started a nonprofit to help kindergarten through 2nd graders who are behind in reading catch up really, really quickly. And we do that through intensive, like one-on-one tutoring a couple times a week, and seeing great results. But for that, rather than reteach myself how to code, since I hadn't coded in 10 years, I started jumping into vibe coding for a lot of the software that we needed for managing tutors and doing other things. And so wanted to share some of those learnings today with everybody who also doesn't want to have to relearn how to code. Over to you, Craig.
And my name's Craig. I'm an entrepreneur and also a small-time seed investor. I have been very fortunate to lead a number of software-oriented and AI-oriented companies, but I haven't coded like Ian. Well, he's got 1 decade. I've got 4 since the last time I've coded, and so it's been a long time since I've played in this. But probably 8 or 10 weeks ago, stumbled upon vibe coding and AI-assisted coding, if you will, and just fell in love with the ability to create MVPs and prototypes, and then pass it on to smarter people who could sort of make it production ready, as it were. And so that's sort of the genesis of this meetup.
That's great. Now we're going to do, I believe, Craig, you're going to be the one who just sort of, and Ian, join in at any time, sort of an overview of vibe coding, just so that we've got some context before we send you into your break rooms, or actually you're going to select which break room you want to go into. So let's get this first part going.
Yeah, so quick, if you aren't aware, AI-aided coding, or what Andre Karpathy has described as vibe coding, is a collaborative process between you and an AI program that writes and optimizes code through natural language prompts. It is a natural language coding process. In other words, you type in exactly or speak into the vibe coding tool exactly what you want to achieve. And what it creates is, through sort of an iterative process, is a set of code that gets you pretty darn close to what it is you're trying to achieve. It really kind of shifts the dynamic of like most product people can now sort of prototype simple projects, even more complex projects, to what they actually are trying to achieve. At least enough to give it to the product team to perhaps complete. Next slide, please. Why is it possible now? Mostly because the LLMs have been trained on so much data, including the writing of software. And tools now are sensational for being able to create these MVPs of really simple or more complex projects. And in my day job, the Human Rights Foundation, we have a lot of human rights defenders who, they're really good at building movements, but they're not necessarily great at sending thank you notes to the donors, or, monthly updates to, people who might be prospective donors. And so to automate much of this, they can focus more of their time on what they really like, because through vibe coding, they're able to, be more productive, have, perhaps more innovation and creativity through the process, and eventually use that to scale. Next slide. Oh, I kind of stole my thunder there. So why use vibe coding? You really want it to scale. It helps you to, democratize development. You can do rapid prototyping. You get a lot more productivity than, than learning to code yourself. And then there's a creativity aspect to this all, where, you can ask it to develop, things that perhaps are quite unique to your needs. And it's a wonderful tool, and I'm sure some of you have gone off and played with LLMs, so you've seen much of this. Next slide. What are the basics? So in order to be a good vibe coder, you kind of need to think about what it is you're trying to achieve, right? You plan first. You create, including all of the outliers, something that you'd really like to create, that would help solve a specific problem. And you think about that in terms of, in my instances, I'm going to suggest a products requirement document, or PRD, a task list, a to-do, and perhaps even some architecture. I want the front end to be JavaScript and the back end to be Python. You develop this tool iteratively. You take the to-do list, in my instance, and you go through it sort of one by one. You create quality gates. Those quality gates include things like, automating testing and doing code reviews. And then you iterate. It would be really nice to be able to tell an AI tool, a vibe coding tool, to just, create me this. And in some instances, it can, if it's simple enough. But in most instances, it kind of needs to take it step by step, and you want to kind of test to make sure it's doing what you're doing. It's an iterative process. The tools that exist out there include things like Replit, which I think Ian's going to use. GitHub, now with Microsoft Copilot, has a very unique and interesting tool, and it's integrated with GitHub, which is a repository. Cursor is a great tool, and used by many other tools. Claude and ChatGPT, Anthropic and OpenAI's tools are good. I'd argue, some are better than others, but you're going to have to kind of play with these in order to determine what works for you. And then my favorite is Windsurf, because of its, sort of really focus on contextual awareness, which to me is kind of the most important thing that humans and AI collaboratively do with each other. Ian, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I'll jump in here a little bit. There's kind of a newer stage for absolute beginners, which is if he was talking about a code repository and an IDE and you just totally glazed over and had no idea what Craig was talking about, these are kind of the apps for you. Those are ones like Replit, Lovable, I'm trying to think the other ones, Bolt. There's a few others that we'll talk about in my session, which literally is, you know, you have no idea and you just talk to it. and then it messes up and then you yell at it some more. And it's a decent way to just kind of build that idea you had. I like it as the people that I've talked to are, you know, who are like, I had an idea for this app, and like they always had this idea and they never built it.
You can't hear?
No.
Oh, sorry, am I not coming through?
You are coming through. Someone
Oh.
needs to go
Oh,
on.
somebody else
they
got
just,
it.
and they just did.
And so anyway, and then you run into all these things where, there you go, let me unmute.
Sorry.
Too effective. But then you start running into, you know, why is this breaking? Why is it so slow? And that kind of opens up your exploration into, oh, here's how you should plan it. And you can learn more about truly how like kind of code works to better use these like very basic systems like Replit and those.
So this is the part where if you have questions before we go into the breakout rooms, now's your chance to ask them. You can put it in chat, or raise your hand and we'll try to unmute you. Once we get started, everybody will be unmuted.
This, okay. Personally customizable app for a city to visit, add lists of restaurants. Okay. These are great. Let me see. So the votes look like we got 7 for the website to track the clients, 8 for hobbies and passions, 7 for the email one. So let's see. Trying to figure out. So on the resource to help people track their here, Jesse, if you'll jump in here, tell me a little bit more about this app that you're describing.
Yeah, hey guys. So I actually tried messing around with the Replit a little bit with this. The idea is like with attentional people with attentional challenges, ADHD, just people whose brains are pulled apart by the modern world. Sometimes it's really hard to project into the future in terms of what rewards you're going to get in the long term. So the idea is we want, just like a video game, to be tracking all the things that you need day to day, but also like you get to see a tree growing or a progress bar coming across, something to give you dopamine as you're doing the thing. So it's like there's goals, there's trackers of what you need to do, from what you need to do, and also like, for instance, if you get really excited about building a house, like we have an animated house that gets bigger and bigger as you get closer and closer to your goal. So we take the abstract and make it felt and visual. Does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah, I think that one requires a lot of like, what is the thing that they're doing and what does that get rewarded, which requires a good, like, it could come up with some of that, but I don't think it can auto make that. Like, it would take a lot of your time to like say exactly what each of those are and spell that one out. I love it. It's definitely a thing you can do. And I think we're just trying to find something a little simpler that we can accomplish here. I'm gonna actually, sorry to everybody, I'm gonna jump and do, I think this would be interesting. This one from Ariel about an app to share friends' information similar to Angie's List. So like basically like an Angie List type clone. Ariel, do you want to jump on real quick? I want to ask you a couple of questions about that. I think that might be a good one to demonstrate kind of how it can build everything. Are you on here, Ariel?
Yeah, can you see me? Yeah, I'm here.
Yes. Okay, so wait, tell me a bit about this. Are you talking about like something where you can, with your friend group, like share who you've used to like do your windows or, you know, do your lawn care, and then you can see that like among your friend group?
Exactly.
Something like that? Okay, awesome. let's run with this one. And I'd love everyone else also to contribute ideas as we build it. I also personally have thought about this, which is like, hey, you have Angie's List out there and you have Yelp, and everybody's like a 4.2 star and it's all the same. And at the end of the day, I just want like to be able to be like, hey, here's my landscaper, or here's the guy that did my fence. And my, friends and family are always asking like, oh, who did you use to do this? And inevitably we all kind of end up needing the same stuff, whether it's a plumber or whatnot, right? So like, how can we quickly share that? Okay, so childcare aspect. Oh, I like that one too. Awesome. Okay, so here, let's just jump in real quick. And so over on Craig's group, he talks a lot about like a PRD and all these other sorts of things, which are very good. They help the agent, like it's like the AI agent is I always like to say it's kind of like I shouldn't say this, a dumb intern, but they're kind of like a dumb intern, right? Sorry, an inexperienced intern, although very experienced. You sometimes have to hold their hand a bit more, or like they'll just go run with something. And then you realize they've like run in the wrong direction. And you have to be like, no, let's be more explicit. And so what Craig is doing is like, hey, just like a junior engineer, like let me lay everything out, right? Like, and with your kids, with whoever it is, where you have to like give them very specific stuff, and then they do exactly what you want. What we're going to do is something more like we're going to assume that the agent is like super intelligent and will do all the best things the first time, and we'll see how they do. This is like hiring that like super smart Harvard intern that you can just say do it and you think it's all going to come back and be great without all this extra description of what to do. So let's do that. And let me jump over, share my screen. Okay, we're on Replit. Okay, so what do we want to make? We want a website for people to be able to share reviews of service providers, like let's say landscapers, cleaners, child care providers, and plumbers and other categories, with, let's see, like their group of friends that they can add on the website. And then, so that's just basically it. You could write just say start and it would create that. But you can also ask it to give you some options, right? If you want it to like think through it, because we haven't maybe thought through all the different things. And rather than thinking through them, you can just ask Replit to like come up with stuff to ask you. So ask me some questions about what to build and what to include in the website before starting. Great, simple, right? Okay, well, let's see what happens. As I was talking with Craig earlier, we were trying to make sure that you weren't just watching paint dry. And so the nice thing is, kind of like with most ChatGPT and other LLMs, like it goes pretty quickly and throws a bunch of stuff up there. Okay, so let's go through this.
Sorry, Ian, quick question.
Oh yeah, jump in, please.
At this stage, are we specifically aiming to build a website or a phone app, or have we specified that yet?
So we haven't specified that yet. It'll build it it'll generally build it as a website that's mobile friendly. Everything's always mobile friendly. I mean, turning something into an, I don't know, let me ask you, like, what would be the difference between a mobile website versus an app in terms of functionality?
I'm not sure. I guess I always thought about in my ideas as like an application that you download on a phone, but I guess it's not that different.
So format, it's just a format, right? Like you know, there's screen size, but like an app is just like, hey, it's coded for an Android app or that, but like it can look the same, right? There's lots of types
I
of
guess accessibility and brand, like in an app and you have the login versus, another tab in your list of websites. Not sure.
yeah.
We can come back to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's still iterate. It's when you're building it, it's about functionality really at the end of the day. Now, there are some things like what are native. I mean, pretty much everything now that you can do on a phone, you can do in a web browser. Like probably some of the things you can't, right, are the motion related things. Like if you were to do a running tracker, right, that you might actually have to build as a phone app, right? So, but as you're thinking about this stuff, it is good to think about like, what is it about it being on being an actual app, how a like iPhone app, how is that different? But yeah, so you just kind of think of it as a mobile app, like a mobile web app. Okay, so quick question here. So we're like, how should friend groups work? This is great. How should users be able to join multiple groups, or is it more like private circles where you invite specific people? Let's see. Anybody have ideas? How would we want, if we're going to be sharing kind of all the things we like? How should we do that?
Well, and if I could jump in, that's an interesting one because I think we've all been on text threads, and the big problem is, it continues to be a problem on email. Some people reply all and some people don't. And then there's always joiners coming in like all the time, but they don't get everything. So it'd be great if our app could not have any of those problems. WhatsApp
Yeah.
handles it relatively well, if that's
Oh, yeah.
a
I
point.
think what they're asking here is, so like, I want to share. I don't want everyone to know who my cleaner is, right? I just want to share it with my friends. And presumably, I guess the question is, do we want to have, you just friend everybody, and then there's my friends, and they can all see mine, and I can see theirs, or do you want the pleasure? I'm part of the Pleasure Point group, and I'm part of the bigger group, and I can see what everyone in Pleasure Point wants, and I can see what the bigger group wants. I think that's kind of what they're getting at. So just for simplicity, let's just kind of tell them. For one, we just are going to let us just find and add friends, and only people who are friends can see your reviews. Okay. All right. 2 service categories. You mentioned this. Should users be able to add custom categories, or do you want to start with a predefined list? Yeah, it's a good question, right? Let's just say predefined list, right? To start, just to make it simple, so people don't have a bunch of junk that they type in, like they spell childcare with a lowercase c and a cap, or with a space and not a space. Usually it's easier to create categories predefined, but that requires us adding new categories. Review structure. What information should be included in reviews? Should there be, ratings, written reviews? Let's just say all of those. Group management. Who can invite members to a group? Should there be group admins? Let's say there aren't groups. It's just based on your friends. There we go. Okay, but you can see here already, like, it's great. Like, you can talk to them. They're thinking through all these different ideas, and kind of helping you like flesh this out on how you want to build it. Search and discovery. Should users be able to search for service providers across their friend network? Yes, they should be able to search. We probably want that. It's much easier than the old school way that, if anybody remembers, Yahoo, where you would find the categories and then the links rather than just searching for what you want. Search is always nice. Service provider profiles. Should service providers have dedicated profile pages showing all reviews? Yes, they should have their own profile page. That's a great point, right? Like if you have Larry's lawn mowing, you want a page for them that can then have all the reviews other people have posted on it, and you can go there and you can see whether or not 5 of your friends also use Larry or something like that, right? Okay. What do we got? Geographic scope. Is this meant for local service providers in specific areas, or should it handle providers across regions? It should be across regions. We want this to work anywhere, but it should let the user define, probably, right, how far away a provider they are willing, or whatever can be, to show results or something like that, right? We don't want somebody in Iowa showing up because we have a friend in Iowa. Any specific concerns about review quality or fake reviews? Yeah, just tell them don't worry about fake reviews now. Let the admin flag reviews and remove them. Okay, mobile versus desktop. So here you get to that. Say primarily a mobile experience. Great. And essential versus nice to have. What are the absolute must-have features? Don't worry about this. All right, great. Go ahead and build it. All right, simple as that. Let's see what it does. So it is nice that it's thinking through it, because a lot of times, right, there's these things you didn't think of, like, oh, right. And you can still do it without having it ask you all those questions, and it'll just build it, and then you can be like, oh, no, that's terrible, don't do that, and just yell at it. This part kind of takes a little while. So what it's doing right here is you can kind of see, let's see, I think this is actually a little bit new how they're showing it. So this will be a visual preview, like you'll actually see the app show up here. But right, oh, now it's already got something, which is kind of cool, right? Like you see it going and happening, like as it's literally building it. So we're doing user registration and friend management system. So how do you sign up? Add or remove friends functionality. What else are we doing? Predefined service provider categories, landscapers, cleaners, create detailed reviews with ratings, search functionality, distance-based filtering, service provider profile pages showing all friend reviews, admin panel, basic user profiles with the review history. This is great. It also will suggest features, which is kind of cool. So after we build this, oh, sorry, I got some hands up. I'll go to you guys in a sec. It will actually, it's coming up with ideas for like what to do next, like real-time notifications for new reviews, advanced search filters. It's not doing that right now. Messaging system between users and service providers. Hey, great. Yeah, well, maybe we want that too. Create a service provider verification system. Anyway, it's kind of cool in that like it comes up with all these ideas on its own. Okay, sorry. Oh, ready to build. Approve the plan when you're ready. So they went through all of this. They've kind of shown this preview. And here's sort of the plan. So we're just going to hit approve. And now it'll actually start building it. Okay, Kirk, how do I just call on you? I'm so bad at this.
It's all good.
Go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is awesome. But does it run into any like IP issues with potential competitors, presuming that it's drawing from other similar sort of processes?
Well, I mean, in the same way that if you built a website and like had your own ideas, like, yeah, that, you know, somebody can always have IP around something. The same thing as building a physical product, a digital product. Like, if Yelp has a patent on having a website with, you know,
yeah, true. That's a good point.
I wouldn't. You worry about it the same as you would whether or not you're using a normal developer or this. I mean, yeah, all of that, right? Like, are these icons? The nice thing is like usually the icons and everything else, it's like creating itself. And so they're usually from like open source, or they're just
Cool.
generic, right? They're
Okay.
not just taking a logo or something else that's used by somebody
Gotcha.
else. But
Yeah.
yeah, do I know if like this display of like, what was the Amazon, right, had a patent on like one-click ordering or whatever way back in the day, and you're like, that just seems obvious anyway. So there's all of that exists whether or not you're using a vibe code. Mike,
Cool.
go ahead. Casper, you got your hand up.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate this. This is really, really cool. And someone who has coded a long time ago and then is coming back to coding and now looking at this, and a former product manager, I'm going to ask a product manager question.
Yeah.
It seems to me like if you know what you want, you could probably make it even faster if you had thought through kind of all the features, but it looks like it's kind of ideating on its own. So
Yep.
I guess I'm sort of going around in circles on the whole idea of a PRD. Do you really need one?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's a good question. I don't do them. I mean, it can save you some pain early on, especially in terms of like database structure, I would say. Not that you necessarily think about that in the PRD, but yeah, just how data is being stored. That's where I've run into the biggest problems, where like we hit bugs, and I'm like, okay, well, show me the database. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're not like tying this field to this field in this other table, and your tables are crap, right? Those are things that you can think about beforehand if you want to, about the basic structure of where stuff lives. But it can also like refactor the database later, as you go.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Maybe the user stories are more important than the PRD, right? Like understanding your users and their needs.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's actually a good point, right? Adding all that context to it definitely helps a lot. Like, here are the users, here's what they care about, those sorts of things. Definitely.
Very cool. Thanks.
It's kind of one of the things where like with all AI stuff, the more context you give it, the better, right? But it can also do a lot without much context. So
Cool. Thank you.
yeah, of course. Robert, go ahead.
Well, I was interested. So I did this at the same time you did, and
Oh, nice.
I didn't give it all the detail that you did. So it was so interesting to see the differences. Like, you got those nice little icons for landscaping and cleaning and childcare and plumbing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't do that, right? So I didn't get those little icons. But I did get Sarah Johnson. She's in there in the database as
Yeah.
green thumb landscape. So it's just interesting to see, like, as you influence it, how it like changes the user interface. I thought that maybe we would end up with the same looking app because we both asked for similar things, but actually they look quite different. So it does seem to personalize it quite a bit, and you don't get the same thing everybody else gets, which I think is nice.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, I guess. Yeah, I mean, what is it that we said that made them do that? I don't know.
I think when you said predefined service provider categories, you specifically mentioned
Oh, yeah.
landscaper, cleaning, childcare, plumbing, and it put those little icons up there. And maybe another one. It looks like there's a slide. So et cetera
Yeah,
must
what is
have
this one
like
looking?
it came up with one on its own or something. I don't know.
Yep.
But it's smart enough to add stuff because it did that. It's obviously goes beyond what you tell it.
Yep. And then we'll so this replit.md, by the way, here that it's creating is basically where it stores everything it's kind of learned, which is kind of like the PRD in certain ways, where it's just like, here's how we do things, and it refers to that as it's building. It's just a markdown file. And so you can also tell it like stuff to add to that, to be like, hey, remember, we never do this, or whatever that is. And it learns it the same way that like a developer or a product manager would be like, okay, this is like part of how we build stuff. John Tenachi, how's it going?
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel like it's the first time I played with ChatGPT, and like
Yeah.
a new realm of possibilities. So I think it was there in the chat. I was just curious, there's a point where like the sandbox where it's operating needs to do something in the real world. Like it has to host it on a website somewhere. It has to
Hmm.
take some sort of actions. Like, do those just happen automatically, or does it kind of prompt you for that? Or, you know,
Yeah,
here's my
it's a
credit
good
card so I can pay for my website or whatever.
Yeah, so it's a good question. And sorry, I'm like trying to manage three different things. So raise your hand if you have a question in the chat that I'm totally missing. Um, so it's a great question. Why I actually really like Replit. There's another one by I haven't done Lovable yet. It's well known as well. But I was literally sitting with Google for startups and was mostly just trying to get credits for some other project I'm working on with Page Turner. And I was like, oh, by the way, do you have like a vibe coding thing? And they gave me Firebase makes a vibe coding thing too. And I sat and I gave Firebase a prompt and I gave Replit a prompt. And Firebase could not deploy it. So deploying it means, hey, there's all this code. Now it's on a literal website that you can go to and anybody can go to. And it just couldn't solve its own bugs. Which is a long way of saying like, what you do is you do all this. We had that preview that you were able to see, but now it's just told us, hey, I completed building it. Do you want to deploy? So deploy is where you make it live. So there is a link to learn how to deploy, but let's see, do they have it up here? There's a little button up here. You just click deploy. You don't really need to worry about this. It's like, just take whatever they say. It's a bunch of machines that you're going to use and blah, 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 blah. And then we have a domain. We can change it. Friend review, Ian McHenry. That's terrible. What should we call it? I don't know. Anybody got a good name for this app that's better than that?
Circle of trust.
Yeah.
Or how about ask it?
Handy. Well, who do you use? I don't know. Who do you use? Whatever. Who do you use? That's a terrible name, but whatever. We're going to use it. Who do you use for this? But you can change. That's just a Replit one. And they also have these security. So this stuff here, sorry, I'll keep moving things around. They'll show you like all your different deploy. Anyway, you don't really need to worry about this. You can do a security scan now or later. I just like to deploy it and then do a security scan. And that's like things, not that you guys, that's kind of a little bit more advanced, but like making sure there's no SQL injection vulnerabilities in this. They generally build it that way, but they have like a separate security scan that kind of goes through it. It's pretty good. But so we've deployed. Now, once we do, you'll see it's building it. It'll tell us when it's all ready, and it's going to be out in the world. And you can also buy a domain just like you do on Squarespace. So if we wanted one that didn't have replit.com in it, you can. You can add it to your own domain. So like Page Turner is like the marketing side of our nonprofit, and that's just run on Squarespace. But if you go to but we host it on app.beapage-turner is our actual Replit app that we use for all that stuff. I keep closing it because it has actual student data since it looks like I'm logged in right now. But so you can do all that. Okay, so it's building. One thing I will say on Replit, one thing that's actually really cool about Replit is the app is really, really good. So you can like literally just sit there in bed if you wake up early and like build a website. Like it's amazing. And one thing is though, like when you deploy, it will send you an email once it's deployed, like once it's live. But a lot of times the app makes it look like it's still thinking and it's not. And you just literally have to close the app and then go back in. Anyway, pro tip if you're using the app, here you can see it is fully deployed. So let's go on to the website and see what we got. So if anybody wants to, you can go to who do you use? Worst name ever, I know. Oh, but now here it's called Service Share. All right. .replit. So we have this like landing page, it looks like. That's interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. Interesting. So look, here's what it's doing is So we created this, and it has this like landing page, but now they're using the Replit OAuth in order for us to create an account. And it already has me. And so if you guys do it, it'll probably log you in. But I don't love that, right? I'm like, I didn't fully think through this. Oh, and by the way, this is in mobile friendly format. You can see this. So that's one thing, right, that I might tell it to do differently. But let's see. And so I haven't had any reviews. I don't know what happened to all those icons. That looked great. What happened to the icons? View reviews from friends. There shouldn't be anything in there. All right. Well, let's try to add a review. Service provider name. Who do we use around here? Bellows, whatever. Service category, plumbing. And you see they only added like electrical after that. So we'll probably want to add other things. Oh, look, rating doesn't work. They were great. I don't like the min and the max price. So anyway, so we have something, right? The point of this all is like we have something, but there's a lot that we don't like. Also, suddenly it just went away as I moved things,
So
right?
we're seeing these things that we don't like. How do we go back and edit them?
Yeah, great question. Here's even worse. Oh, this post button is up here, right? Like, okay. So let's start with rating. Oh, that's amazing. It needs a rating to be posted. Okay, so let's do this real quick. And I know we're supposed to jump back into the other session. Okay, so let's take the rating, right? You just go and tell them, be like, when I try to submit a new review, there are no stars to click to give it a star rating. Can you fix that? Great. Wait, why is that in a queue? Yeah, oh, there you go. Resume. So literally you just do that. You kind of yell at it. And so now it's going to be working. It's thinking, I don't know what the LSP diagnostics, and then fix the star rating issue in the ad review model. So it's working on it. That's literally how it does. And what's kind of fun is if you know a little bit about coding, you can like start trying to understand some of this stuff. There might be an issue with the font awesome icons not loading. So basically the icons weren't working. So it might have also been there. Anyway, you can read exactly kind of what's going on as it's thinking through that. Sorry, Sharon, go ahead. Oh, Sharon, Sears,
Yeah,
get your
thank
hand
you.
up. Yeah, there you go.
I was wondering about, is there kind of a back end to this thing that helps you control like how much data you'll gather on your users, like where they're coming from? And does it handle things like legal and compliance? Does it give people the chance to opt in or opt out and manage the data that the app is reading on them? Or is there just not really that back end?
I mean, you can if you want to.
This kind of
but
app, it doesn't make sense, but for a lot of apps, it would.
So again, like what I have to say with all this is like once you're trying to like make this a professional thing, like you still need to like consult lawyers and make those decisions. And so, but what you can do with it is tell it, can you please add a terms of service and a whatever policy? And it'll just create that. The same way you can ask ChatGPT to do that.
Okay.
If you're saying, you know, I don't want to collect whatever, you can just tell it don't collect that. And so you can always see the database to show you exactly. Hold on, let's see. Okay, so they said they fixed the stars, made stars responsive with hover effects. They do all these things like you didn't actually tell it to do because it's also thinking ahead on this stuff. So I'm going to deploy it, and then I'm going to show you the. So you just hit redeploy, then it starts going and building it again. So if you want to see it over here on the side, you can see all the databases, right? And I kind of talked about before, sometimes this is what you want to structure. So here are all the tables. So we have a friendships table, we have a reviews table, we have a service provider table, we have a sessions table, and a users table. So you can kind of jump in there. So users, oh, I can see all of here. Do you guys want to see? Sorry, guys. Disclaimer: we're going to see all your information. No, but here all it shows is created at, updated at, and the email right there. And then the first name and last name, which I didn't even get that far to creating that. And then the sessions, let's see. So these are just the cookies, right? That you kind of need for a normal website to work, to know like, hey, they're still here, and it doesn't log them out. And so all that stuff is there, and you can always tell it what you don't want it to do. You could say, hey, stop collecting first name and last name. We don't have any reviews or friendship or any of these yet, but there's contact info and that sort of stuff. Okay, let's hop back to our thing, and I know we got to jump into the other one. Hey, look, our icons are back. So it was a problem with the icon database basically that they had. So now when we try to add a review, look, there it is. Let's do bellows, service category, plumbing. I mean, look, see, we have the stars. We click that, it shows 4, but it should also, like, you would expect it to not fill that up. And so that works, but it doesn't show that. Anyway, they are great. Okay. Posting. Let's see. Can we see mine yet? Let's see. I added my first review. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Profile. There we are. There you go. So it did save it, and it is showing this. And it's right there. And then we can go view the provider. I don't have any friends. How do I add friends? Here, wait. Who page on it? I don't even know. Can I search for yet? Who signed up? Hold on.
I signed in earlier.
As Grace? Did you put your name on? Okay, let's try
Mhm.
Grace. I wonder if it actually shows. No, it's probably just going through there. That one doesn't work. Invite friends, yeah, that doesn't work. So like all the things you would do on here is like right now, and I'm going to jump into the main session again, and we can always jump back into here to do more of this. But basically what you do right now is you say, oh, okay, like when I click invite friends, nothing shows up. I would expect this, and then it'll fix it, right? Same thing with those stars. They got the stars back. It saved the data, but it was showing, 5. Visually, you would see 5 stars no matter what. Certainly. This again is just kind of like a preview of this sort of stuff. But what's cool is, hey, look, we actually have a starting point here. And if you put like another half hour into this, like you could get it pretty much, that first version there that you could like send to friends and start seeing what their reviews of stuff is. Okay, awesome. Hopefully this was helpful. We're going to jump into the main session, I think, now, and then we can always hop back out if we want to do a little bit more. So don't leave. If you do rejoin, what do we do? Show meeting? I got to figure out how I leave room. Okay, I think if you hit leave room, then you'll go back into the main session. Great. Okay, so the first thing I want to do, I was able to leave a review. That's great. But now I kind of want some friends to see their reviews. So let's go and fix that. When I try to invite a friend and click the button, nothing happens. Can you fix that? Also, I should be able to enter their email or find them some other way in order to connect with them. All right, let's see. Yep, resume. So one thing on this, let's see, they added a new thing. So these are like, let's see how much they kind of charge by work. it's really weird if you're not used to it. It ends up not being that much money, but like I actually don't love that they now tell you exactly how much each thing cost you. So them screwing up on the stars cost me 34 extra cents. So it's another reason to like, you asked a question about whether or not to do a PRD or give them spending more time that you will save money by being like very explicit so that they don't just like do things that you don't expect them to do. Because just like a real developer, like if you don't give enough instruction, they spend all this time working on something and then they get it wrong. Like sometimes you can save yourself time by doing that. Although what's crazy to me is I think our initial build of the whole website cost 68 cents. So I don't really get like why like changing the stars costs 34 cents. Anyway, they're still always working on that side, but it ends up not being, you know, that much money. But yes, this is not 100% free. Like expect to spend, you know, dozens of dollars. But it's much better than having to spend $10,000 from some developer in the Ukraine just to like get a really basic website. Robert, go ahead. Oh, Robert Munger, I think you get your.
Yeah, now you can. Yeah,
you
it wouldn't let me unmute. Hey, this might be old news, but I think there were people still stuck in the break room. Maybe they're all back now. You've got 33, but wasn't the original number like 42 or? I don't know. I'm not quite sure.
Melina, if you want to jump back into the room, I guess you could and see if anybody's in there and
yeah, I'll check.
Send them back. Show them how to do it. Okay. All right. Now they claimed that they've fixed it. So you can actually preview this before deploying it, which you can kind of see here, although I think it still needs, I forget if it needs auth. Yeah, it's going to go through that. Let's see if we can do the preview without deploying. Yeah. So there was if anybody knows, there's this guy, Jason Lemkin, who's the founder of SaaStr, which is a big conference about SaaS software. Anyway, he tweeted, and I think he got a lot of attention about how Replit deleted his entire database, which I still don't understand. And I commented on this because the way it works is like you can actually roll back to prior things. So like if it does something and you don't like it, you can literally go these little things. This is like what the deploy was. So allow users to find and invite each other using names or email addresses. That's the thing we just did. If I deploy this, make it live, and I don't like it, I just click roll back and it can actually take the website to exactly how it was before, including the database. You just say whether or not you want the data. Now, when you roll back there, any like users that were added since obviously get deleted. But it is very possible to like, you know, just go back to where you were before without any problem. But yeah, so for that reason, I'm always just like, nope, push it live. I don't actually spend that much time worrying about testing it in the dev, what they call the dev environment, which is sort of this preview environment before it's live. Usually you have like dev and live are the ways you do it. But yeah, for those that don't kind of know basic software development, like when you're doing all this code stuff, you kind of run it locally, often either locally on your computer to see how it looks before making it live to the world, or you have a separate server called the dev server where it lives and you can see all of it. And it's basically a replica of what's live for everybody else. And that allows you to like test it, do all these other sorts of things before it goes live. And Replit handles all that kind of seamlessly without any issues. Cool. While we're waiting for it to deploy, anybody else have any other questions? See everybody. Where are the hands? Yeah, go ahead. Is it Sil?
Oh, there it goes. I think it was the second part of Grace's question that was just regarding how, I guess, sustainable it is once you've built something and you've deployed it. Is there any like end date or lifespan? What's the long-term, like, I guess, existence of the thing you build?
Like any website, it
Just
lives
stays there.
until you delete it. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like anything, right? Like if you create a Facebook profile, it's not your website, but like it lives there until you get rid of it. So yeah, that's the same as, if you create a website like this, then like, it's just files, it's a thing, this URL that's pointing to a bunch of files, and then you delete the files, then it no longer exists. That makes sense.
Okay, and then one other question for you, having had more experience with this than I have. You're saying it's pulling like the graphics and a bunch of the features from very basic, generic styles or sources. How much can you really get into the customization?
Oh, anything. Yeah, what do you want to do? What's the one thing you want to do?
For this one specifically, I don't have like too much, but I like customizing. I mean, you can, I guess just in terms of functionality, you find that you can do anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, take a look at it and see. I'm gonna try to get Grace here to add on here, but let's here, if you go to that website, no user found. Oh, come on. See, here you go. Right, Grace is a user, but it's not letting me find her. Type at least 2 characters. Let's see. And your name is in there too, right, Grace? All right, we'll try one more and then we'll go yell it at the Replit again. Yeah, okay, there you go. All right, let's do this. So you can also take screenshots, by the way, and send it over to them. So let's send them that screenshot. Desktop. I can see everything. Okay. When I try to invite a friend who is in the database, it shows no users. For instance, doesn't show up. There you go. All right, I'll yell at them about that. Okay, so we'll do that one. And then, Sil, for your question, like how much can you customize it? So here's our web page. What would you like to do? Hit me with any kind of customization. What would you like to see happen? Oh, I think you're on mute. So I think you're still on mute.
Who is it that you're trying to unmute?
SYL. Is it Sil? Yeah, you're still muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks. You have to allow it. I don't know, make it purple or something. I don't know. Like I would probably get into the customizing a good amount, making my own platform, but
well,
just
yeah,
need
I mean,
it look.
Yeah, no, hit me with the looks. What do you want? You want change all the buttons to purple?
Just make the title at the top like maybe cursive script, or make it like the background a light purple or something like more aesthetic,
Okay.
I suppose.
Yeah, let's try the. Yeah, so there's always the. By the way, sometimes it pauses, and you have to remind it to resume. I don't know why. Yes, let's see. As soon as it finishes that, so you can literally just say like. I mean, you can pick a font. So like if you have, depending on how into this you are, you can be like, hey, use this font for the title and use this schema for this. You can also, let's see, for instance, what's a, like if you have an example website that has that style you want, you can send it. No, okay. So you can just describe it. So what do we want? A cursive, more cursive stylistic font for the service share header, right? So let's do that. This in data, so it has empty first name on. Let me check the network request. So right here is trying to debug all these sorts of things. One thing I don't know yet Oh, sorry, I want Ian's face. Sorry, I want Ian's face as the landscaper icon. Thanks, Dan. Oh, interesting. So sorry. I'm just figuring I'd do this while we're waiting. Astrid, you asked, can we see the code? Like what the actual code is? If you're interested, I'm gonna redeploy this so we can fix that, and then we'll go do the color thing. So the let's see, the different options you have here is the agent, which is who we're yelling at right now, preview, and then there's a console as well. And then wait, where does the code live? Is it in console? No, that's just like the actual terminal. This is a good question. Where is my code? I think I have to add it. You do a code search. Where is my Git? So it's basically all here. Like, I think you can see your Git too. Where is the where we create a new user? No, enable whole words. All right, sorry. There is a way. If you search out there, that should be able to. Okay, so we just deployed. Let's check this out. Can we now add our friend? All right, where are our friends? They're at the bottom because we made it look like a web app, so it looks terrible on here. Okay, what we're doing, friends. 404 page not found. Not sure why it's in that. Invite friends. Awesome. This is, thanks guys. So this is a good example of like, here, let's try it up here. Nope. Let's try it here. Nope. This is a good example where it's like really annoying. So let's treat this like somebody with zero experience. Please open the friend invitation. I'll click the plus button and type this. Okay, so nothing happens. Great. So you can, if you know a little bit more, you can also say like, show me the code where we're searching for a friend happens, right? So here you go. Oh, okay, there's an API call, right? I see the issue. The query is the URL parameters aren't being passed properly. The query is expecting query passes URL parameters, but it's sending an object, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know anything about this. And basically all we're doing is yelling at it to try harder. And this happens, like this is part of the vibe coding stuff, which is like, it'll just like screw up. And sometimes you just need to yell at it and see if it works. So, okay, so here we yelled at it. Now it's trying to say, okay, try it again. And let's see if it works. I actually love showing this because this is like, it's not this panacea, like it doesn't just automatically always do it right. But for somebody building a website, like all you really need to do is like act like a user and just try all the stuff, which amazingly, like a lot of like CTOs and like product managers don't even use their own product. And so like, in order to like really manage it well, you just use it and see if it works. Okay. Deployments, did we deploy? Nope, still deploying. Amelia, by the way, where is Craig?
They're still working. I don't know if they're going to rejoin the main room.
Okay. All right. If they don't want to, then I'll maybe finish up sort of here in the next 9 minutes for folks.
Sounds good.
Just to not make it run too long. Okay. Because this is starting to be like paint drying. All right, so this should be live. I'm gonna stop if we can't invite friends if it doesn't work. Yeah, we yelled at it enough. All right, Josh, I'm inviting you. Actually, if Josh is still on, go and log in and see if there's a way. Actually, for everybody that did create an account, will you guys add me? Actually, let's go in and look at what my profile is, database. I'm Ian at beapageturner.com. Go ahead and just try adding me. And we'll see if it actually pops up. Okay, let's see who else. Let's add Grace. Although it says I have no friends. Oh, look, even has the name. Great. So what's funny here too is you really do see, like, not thinking through everything, what it does. So for instance, here, I've just invited 2 friends, right? But it looks like nothing happened. So there's nothing telling me whether or not I've invited somebody. And so, you know, it did a lot of things without even asking us. But it didn't, like, get all the details right. So here we would also go back and be like, okay, this is great. I can add friends now. But can you show me my pending friend requests, right? Because I want to see that. And then I want to also be able to re-invite them. And there's just all these things that, like, as a user would be great. But it just hasn't done yet. So let's see. All right, was anybody able to go in and accept my invite or add me? Are Grace and Josh still on this?
I think they're gone.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, we'd be able to see that. Let's see, actually here, it should show the requesters. There you go. Status pending. Yeah, you can see all these, and then that would update to, like, actually show the friends. Anyway, okay, one last thing, and anybody chime in and tell me if there's anything else you want to see. So I know you wanted to change the buttons to purple, right? Or wait, okay, we'll try to do both. Actually, no, I'm not gonna. Sorry, Darren, I'm not gonna change the logo to my head, but you could if you wanted to. Can you change? Oh yeah, that's right. The header logo font that says service share to a more stylistic font that looks like cursive. All right, let's see if we can do that. We'll change it. No, let me first check where it's located. Where's everybody's face? Oh, there people are. Sorry. All right, while we're waiting for, let's see. Next, I'll update the homepage header, adding the logo font class to the CSS file. So CSS is all the design and stuff you can see here. Here they're adding Google Fonts, which is something, if you ever build a website, like, you kind of add that so that it can pull those fonts in. So it's doing all this work, like, by just telling it to, like, add a font. It's thinking through all the things that it needs to do. Let's see, can we see if the preview shows it or if we need to deploy real quick? Go. Might actually be faster to deploy. We'll see that. Is there any other questions people have about how it works? I think somebody was asking, what did we have? Can you make a retail site with a shopping cart? Yeah, absolutely. You can tell it to connect to Stripe all those sorts of things. So one thing is like when you are doing things that require like API codes, you can just ask it how to get it. So like for Stripe, you'd be like, hey, I want to process payments. Tell me what I need to do. And they'll be like, oh, we recommend using Stripe. And then you can say, okay, how do I do that? And they'll just say, hey, go to this website, copy your like API code and secret and whatnot, and then post it here. And then they store it encrypted. And so that it will actually physically run using like the account that you created over there on Stripe, which is pretty cool. Okay. Our last thing we deployed, right? Let's see. Did we get that new font? Come on, new font. Oh, there we go. All right. If Sill's still on, how does that look for you? Sorry, that was a lot, but hopefully that like unlocked for folks like something about like how to just create some stuff and play with it. I highly encourage you guys to just do it yourself and play with it. What I like about Replit the most, and I'm sure Lovable is probably similar and some others might be, is like, as you saw, you just chat with it and then it is on the internet, which is really cool. And as a beginner, like that's kind of what you want. When I was trying to get back into coding and trying to like, remember all this stuff, I was like, oh, right. Like, how do I set up my IDE? How do I set up my Git? How do I do pull requests? How do I do that again? Like, what's new in the last 10 years? And like, how do I deploy? What's the deploy process? Like, there were just so many really mundane steps, but it just is like this overhead. And Replit needs just like do it, right? Like it creates the database in the background, ties it to the front end, does the front end, it does all of this sort of stuff. So it really makes it so beginner, pretty close to beginner can just do it. And then it has all those bugs like you saw. And so don't expect to just be like, don't get angry at it. I mean, you can get angry at it, but like, it's going to take some iteration, right? Just like, a very junior developer. But a lot of times it's just like, you didn't lay it out as much beforehand, but I think it's totally fine. But yeah, I'm going to keep playing with this. I want to know what everybody else's recommendations are now for their, especially for their plumbers. Always can use like 5 good plumbers. Awesome. Okay, we had a couple questions before I go, and feel free to chime in too if you want to. What if I wanted to create or build a wearable device? Oh yeah, I have no idea on hardware. I think there were some. You can Google or ask ChatGPT if there's any like, vibe coding for hardware. I actually really wanted something like that because I had an idea for what I called phone tent, which was just this like shade tent for phones. So like when you go by the pool, they could be in there. And I really just wanted it to be like, cool, here's like the CAD design that you send to whatever, like another company or a 3D printer. But yeah, I don't know about it as much. Contact email. Oh yeah, I don't think we put it up there. I think I just posted, oops. It was just pasted there, ian@bapageturner.com. It's my contact. Feel free to hit me up there or look me up on LinkedIn. Let's see, anything else? Last question, does Replit have to host or can I choose my own? Oh yeah, great question. No, you can choose your own. So like I host, so where does the code? So, I mean, it's on my domain, app.bapageturner.com. But that's a redirect. So like they are technically, it's their servers. I don't know how much of it you can push separately. I haven't started trying to like dissect that. The next thing for me was going to be to like, have it interact with GitHub and like try to figure out how I actually have one use case where a guy I used to work with did some volunteer coding for me so that we could, so for PageTurn, we try to recommend books that are the right reading level for beginning readers and that have all words that they can decode with phonics properly at any rate. And right now we link out to Amazon to get the book, and we'd like to link out to a library, right? And then allow them to like instantly create a hold for that. And so somebody built that side of it for me and has it in GitHub, but I have my app here, and like I'm like, wait, I need to put these two together. How do I do it? So I think that's a little bit more advanced, but I believe you can just have it when it's creating all this code, just like a developer, have it interact with like a GitHub repo and manage it that way. So anyway, that's a little bit more in the weeds.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Cool.
much, Ian, for presenting. We learned a lot here, and I'm excited to see what kind of apps and websites people create. Yeah, and there will be a recording of this. We'll try to get it together. There was a couple pieces here and there. But yeah, thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Good luck. Happy vibe coding.